we doing, guys? I'm Dr. Johnny, owner of athELITE Performance Therapy. I want to take some time to kind of give you guys a backstory and give you guys the origin story, if you will, of how athELITE kind of got started. So I was just finishing up my senior year. I was looking for jobs, searching for employment, where I was going to actually be a therapist for the first time coming out of school. As a home health physical therapy provider, you can make upwards of 100, 120, in California, sometimes 200,000. And so when I was looking at the salaries that they're offering me in these outpatient sports clinics, it was significantly less than that. And so coming out of school, I told myself, hey, I don't want to take a job like that. Eventually, I wanted to build my own thing. And so I was kind of wrestling with the idea: do I start my own thing coming straight out, not having any knowledge of real PT, how it works with my own schedule, the business side of things. And so you know what, I was like, you know what? Let me just see if I can start with home health. Okay, they get really good pay. Maybe it's something I can do long term because it does pay so well. And so I started off taking 30, 40 patients a week. I was making great money. I think my first year I made like 120. The second year was a little bit more than that, kind of right around there. But it was right around like the year and a half mark. Year and a half, 2 years, going in and out of people's homes, working with a different population, because my passion was always working with sports. So going into these clinics and, going to these people's homes, that's not a clinic where they're, needing help to get out of bed, needing help to, walk to the restroom, where we're doing very low level activities. It wasn't really challenging me. It was great money. It was on that side, it was fulfilling. I would work some pretty long days, probably like 9-hour days, sometimes 10. It would just depend, like with notes. But if you're getting paid that much money, it's kind of worth it. But it came to a point to where it wasn't fulfilling, right? I was making great money. I was going into these people's homes. I was helping them, walk and, hit all these milestones that they hadn't hit before. But it wasn't what I wanted to do long term. And so what I decided to do, I was like, okay, you know what? I have two options. I can keep doing this until I die, or I can take the leap of faith and try to open up my own clinic. And so right around that year and a half, 2 year mark, I was like, okay, what is this going to take? I started, I think the first thing that I did was I was listening to podcasts, and I think it was Jared Carter. He's a cash pay PT. He has a cash pay PT podcast. It was Jared Carter. And then through Jared Carter, I think I found Danny Mattei and then Aaron LeBauer. I don't know which way. I know Jared was first, and then it was either Aaron LeBauer or Danny Mattei. But these were three PTs that were in the cash pay space. And at the time, I didn't know what cash pay physical therapy was. I knew you do physical therapy, insurance pays for it, and then you're good. And everyone gets paid and everyone's happy, right? I did not know that patients were actually paying out of pocket for their therapy. And so reading these, Danny Mattei had a book. It's called Fuck Insurance. Great book, by the way. I started reading these books, the Danny Mattei book, reading these podcasts, going from patient to patient. I was just, consuming these podcasts hours and hours at a time each day. And that really gave me the confidence and kind of gave me some groundwork to just try it, right? I wasn't going to go full time into it. I was like, what if I just go and do this part time without having all the risk and the uncertainty of just jumping out on my own? Let me just try to do something to where, it's part-time and kind of see what it grows into. And so I found myself like not wanting to leave. Like let me back that up. So I started seeing patients at one of my friends, PT by Joe. Joe, great dude. Thank you, by the way. I appreciate everything you've done for me. He let me treat out of one of his extra rooms he had, and it was like almost like an extra storage closet. It was probably like, honestly, like 15 by 10 maybe. And part of it was like storage for fitness shows. So the gym was basically like a physique gym, like a bodybuilding gym. And so they had their storage for their women's like bikinis. So it said like Bikini Vixen on the top. It was like a bunch of like tanning equipment. And that was kind of my first spot, me not, fresh into this world. I was hyped. I was excited. I was like, I don't really care what it looks like. I'm just going to be doing what I love, right? Sports, ortho, physical therapy. And so I started seeing patients there before I went to work to go to home health. And then after, and I loved it. I didn't want to leave. I was finding myself sometimes showing up like either right on time or maybe a couple minutes late to my first appointment, just because I was so engrossed and I was so kind of bought into the patients that I was working with and their outcomes. Because in the beginning it was just me. It was me and my patient, and so I didn't have a mentor that I could say, hey, what do you think about this? There's no other therapist in the clinic that I could bounce stuff off of, so I was just kind of figuring stuff out as I went. Kind of just kind of trial and error. And I had to do a lot of research, check out what other people are doing. I think I might have reached out to one of my mentors from my PT school. I think like maybe like twice, but it wasn't really for a case. It was like to remember an exercise or something. But I was really trying stuff out on my own. I was just kind of seeing what worked, because my patient wasn't going to come back unless I got them better. So I had to figure out on the fly, how am I going to get this person better? How am I going to get them to come back? And that was so much fun. Like I said, I didn't want to go to back to my home health job, and that's when I knew like this is what I want to do. Like it was so rewarding, and I was like, all right, let me start building my own thing. And so over the next, I would say year and a half, I would just build athELITE. I would go there before, I would go after. Sometimes I would try to squeeze all my patients in like 3 days, so that way I can have 2 full days, like Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then 2 full days, like Thursday, Friday in the clinic, in athELITE. And so I was kind of messing around with that, and over the time, it like slowly started building. You build patient referrals, with your word of mouth. People start to know who you are, and then I started doing workshops, going to other gyms. I found another spot. I met some other guys, and I actually started buying my own space. And so I was renting out my first space. I think it was like $500 a month. At the time, on top of my mortgage, car payment, I was like 500 extra bucks a month. Like at first, I was like, "What the heck am I doing?" I have all this overhead, these expenses, but it was a leap of faith I had to take. If I wanted to get here, I had to first take this step, right? I knew my long term goal was working for myself and having a sports clinic, but I didn't know what these steps look like, and so I had to take that first step. Um, and I rented out, I think it was probably about the same size. It was probably like at the most like 8 feet. I think it was like 8 feet by probably like 13, 14 feet, no more than 15 feet, right? So maybe 200 total square feet. But that was where I grew and I learned. Like I said, I problem solved, and that kind of showed me, okay, this concept is actually real. It can actually happen. So I moved into my next space, um, and then that was a basketball gym. Spent my time there, and then after that, I met the guys at Apex, where I'm working with right now. And so it took me 5 years from starting it to actually where I'm at now, and kind of building it into an actual business. Because the first couple of years, I'm gonna be honest with you, it was a side hustle. Up until probably about a year, no, probably like 6 months ago, I was still treating it like a side hustle. I said I would own a business, but I wasn't systematizing it, right. I didn't set it up like a McDonald's, a Walmart, a Burger King. These franchises would, because my ultimate goal is to plug people into these spots as a tech, as a front office, and then get another provider. If I don't have my systems written down, that's kind of what makes and breaks a business. And so about 6 months ago, I started really, honing in my systems, and getting my revenue year over year, just to get up and up and up. And now I'm at a point to where, I'm trying to scale athELITE. It's been great getting to this spot, building it, and now I'm at the point to where, okay, we've reached multiple six figures. What is the ceiling? Can we get this up to $1 million? Can we open multiple clinics and have 5, 6, 7, 8 providers, where I'm actually providing for people's family, creating something bigger than just myself? Because for the longest time, that was kind of my mindset, was, let me just build a job. I thought I was building a business, but I really just had a job, because I was going in and clocking in every day, and I had to be there. If I wasn't treating patients, I wasn't making money. And so that epiphany kind of really hit me when I went to Greece in 2023, and I was gone for 3 weeks, and I didn't make money for 3 weeks. And I was like, okay, it's not a business, because a business you can leave and still make money. And that's when I kind of realized that I had the worst job in the world. I didn't have a business. I had a job that I always had to be there, that couldn't run without me. And so that's where we're getting to now, right? We started at home health. We started building the business, okay, and then we got out of home health. continuing to build athELITE, and now where we're at is, okay, now we need to take athELITE and see how far we can get it. Right now we have our systems, put all of our SOPs, everything in order. Then where can we go? Right. Um, so that's just kind of sharing with you guys kind of the future. I want to share you guys with the past, kind of how we got here, so that way you guys know who I am, what my story is, you know, how I started athELITE, and kind of where it's going to go. Right. So I appreciate you guys, you know, sticking in here, listening to this whole spiel. But for those of you who wanted to kind of get a little bit more behind the scenes, you know, if you're a therapist looking to start your own thing, or you know maybe you're a patient that doesn't like the current PT, this is just to kind of show you why this model of PT has come about, why I chose this model. I'll probably follow this one up with other videos on, you know, why I chose not to start an insurance clinic in the beginning and why I went cash pay. I'll come up with more videos like that, but I just really wanted to kind of come on here and just give you guys the origin story of how, you know, I started from home health PT. I, you know, built my side hustle. I turned my side hustle into a job, and now I'm trying to turn that job into a business. If you guys like what you've heard, if you guys want to kind of follow along the journey, please like, comment, subscribe, all those good things to help the algorithm and help get more views and help to grow the channel. I appreciate all you guys' support beforehand. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys. Stay tuned. We're going to have some good stuff coming up.